Amid numerous unconstitutional actions President Donald Trump has taken since re-entering the White House nearly a year and a half ago, should Democrats consider including in their campaign messaging for the 2026 midterms the idea of impeaching him? Hi, I'm Chris Walker, and you're watching The Walkthrough. After watching this video, please consider sharing it or subscribing to whatever page you watched it on. You can follow me at facebook.com/thatcw or on Blue Sky by searching for That Chris Walker. So, is impeachment a good idea for Democrats to campaign on? Such a strategy has never really been tested. Even in 2018, when Democrats campaigned on being a check on Trump's out-of-control first-term presidency, party leadership was careful not to mention the I word. But this version of Trump is considered by many to be even worse than the first one, and perhaps more unlawful too. His war in Iran, for example, rests upon zero authorization from Congress, in violation of the War Powers Act of 1973 and the U.S. Constitution. His attempt to rewrite the meaning of the 14th Amendment's birthright citizenship clause through executive order is a clear violation of the process of changing or even reinterpreting the document. His use of ICE and other federal agents to harass, harm, deny due process rights, and even kill immigrants and U.S. citizens alike as part of his draconian mass deportation efforts is an abuse of power, to say the least. His administration's clear defiance of the Epstein Files Transparency Act warrants, at minimum, an examination of whether he gave direct orders to hide his name from the million-plus files it reportedly appears within. Not to mention, his direct ordering of officials at the Justice Department to go after his political adversaries is a clear abuse as well. These matters, plus many, many more like them, could be impeachable offenses on their own. Put together, they demonstrate a power-hungry man in charge of the White House who is out of control and whom many feel needs to be checked. Part of that check can come in the form of Democrats winning control of Congress this coming fall. Dems, of course, would need to run on a platform that is more than just anti-Trump. They could promote an expansion of healthcare coverage, for example, and as well as a focus on affordability and raising wages for average Americans. But curtailing Trump's abuses is also something that voters largely want. To what extent Democrats should be open about impeaching Trump ahead of and during the midterm election season is now up for debate. However, a recent report from Time magazine suggests Democratic leadership doesn't want to have that debate at all, worried that impeachment talk ahead of the midterms will derail their prospects at having a blue wave. I don't want to get ahead of that discussion, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries said on Thursday regarding an increase in chatter within his party removing Trump from office after the president suggested he would engage in genocidal acts by annihilating an entire civilization unless he got his way. This hesitancy from leadership is perhaps understandable and traditional, but for an untraditional and unreasonable president, it is also misguided. Impeachment should be discussed as an option for disrupting Trump, and Democrats shouldn't shy away from the issue in the midterms. Rather, they should own it if they're really that concerned about winning elections. Polling suggests voters are deeply upset with this president on myriad issues, so much so that his approval ratings now rival how poorly he was perceived at the end of his first term. An Economist YouGov poll from this week, for example, shows that fewer than 4 in 10 Americans approve of his job as president, with 55% disapproving of how he's handled his time in office so far. Among independent voters in the poll, which Democrats will have to rely on in large part to win the midterms, 61% say they dislike Trump's handling of the presidency too. But what about impeachment? Surely, if Democrats start talking in such political ways about the process of impeaching and removing Trump from office, it will distance those independent voters and the electorate overall, correct? Not necessarily. New polling shows that kind of thinking, evident in the tepid nature of Democratic leaders in Congress to embrace the idea, is likely wrong. According to a Lake Research Partners survey performed on behalf of Free Speech for People and conducted from March 26th through the 30th, 46% of Americans say they would strongly support Trump being impeached at this moment, with another 6% saying they would support the idea but not strongly so, for a total of 52% being in favor of the idea if it's presented. Meanwhile, only 37% of Americans, according to the poll, say they would strongly oppose impeachment efforts, with another 3% saying they would oppose them but not strongly, meaning only 40% would oppose the move overall. Keep in mind, this poll was conducted before Trump issued his genocidal screed against Iran earlier this week. If that 12-point split in favor of impeachment is still too low for some Dems to change their minds on campaigning on the idea, they should perhaps keep in mind that it's only that low because Republican respondents are deeply opposed to the concept. Among Dem voters, 84% support impeaching Trump right now, and among independents, 56% back the idea with only 34% opposed. A 22-point split in favor of impeachment among an electorate that both parties will try to court in the midterms. To put it more precisely, Americans are fed up with Trump. Not just those on the left, but most Americans overall want his pursuits to be checked and his outlandish abuses of power to be challenged. A forceful message by Democrats demonstrating they can be these strong challengers to this president is an idea they might want to embrace rather than run away from. And that includes exploring the idea of campaigning on impeachment. I'm Chris Walker. Thanks for watching.